a real prize is this drill. Ixion, Ixion. It's made in Germany. You'll see a lot of them out there at some fairly high prices. And it's got, there's the nameplate. Of course, it's rusty. Pitted. Something's rattling inside the gearbox. I'll have to get to that. And of course, the chuck is needs a little work. But this is the 2-speed unit. It's got, on one side, it's a 1-to-1 ratio turning. And when you switch it to the other side, it's, I don't know the ratio, but it's a geared to give it more turns per handle spin. Nice wood handle on it to be restored. And of course the brush drill, they call it. Fairly heavy. Must weigh 5 pounds or maybe more. I'll put it on a scale and weigh it for the final. Really looking forward. I think I'm going to do this one first. I don't have anything like it. It's the main reason I bought this lot of tools, because I wanted one of these and the prices have been so high. I never did buy one, but now that I got this batch at a good price, here we go. Working on the restoration of this great hand drill. Got the covers off, got them sanded and primed and painted. They were not the handles, but the front and back covers. They were a real trip, but got them done. Took a lot of work. Probably one of the hardest restorations I've done. Inside, this pin was loose and was rattling around in the gear case, and I'm going to finish installing it so it turns properly. This was slipping on here. In addition, there was absolutely no grease inside. This is just bone dry. Usually you'll find a lot of heavy dry grease in there, but I'm going to clean them up so they're better and re-grease them, but it's just bone dry inside. It's amazing. You can almost feel the gears scraping together. So the sides have still got to be sanded and painted. This connector rod up to the breastplate handle was black before. I decided to finish it out and shine it up. I think it'll look better. It'll accentuate the black on there with this nice shiny chrome looking piece. The chuck itself has got some issues. It looks like whoever owned this before used pipe wrench on here. Really scarred it up bad. There's nothing we can do about it. There's some nice knurling on here where it's available, but there's going to be some scarring that I can't do much about. But I did shine up the chuck, clean it up, and it's going to look nice on there except for the flaws, which will have to remain. Did something different on the handle. This was painted black, and I decided that I'd do it, finish it out, grind all the paint off, which was again a chore. That paint on here was really been on here a long time. It was hard to get off, but I shined it up, and I think it'll give a nice look. It'll accentuate the black finish that I'm putting on the tool. And the handle itself, I've sanded it down, and the problem here is there's some dents in here. Actually, there are some dents in here, pretty deep. I've tried sanding them. I got quite a bit of it off. I was going to stain this handle, which is my preferred treatment, but I think I'll go ahead and stain it. I've got it really smooth sanded. I'm going to stain it, finish it, see how it looks. If it doesn't look right, I'll take that, I'll take it back down and paint it. I don't want the paint, but if I paint, I'll be able to fill all these little dents. We'll see how it looks when it gets stained and go from there. Either way, I'm glad to be doing the chrome type finish on the handle. Okay, I put the stain on the crank handle, and it's looking pretty good. Still got to finish it out and wax it and shine it up and so forth, but that's going to work well. But along the way, I discovered that this drill had a side handle. When in these sections here, you could move it to either side depending on which side you put the crank on for the standard gearing or the ratio gearing that gives you the extra turns, and you move the handle from side to side, but there was no handle. So the first thing I did was try it out different threads to see how this was threaded. And as you can see, a 5/16 thread works in here. So then I got to come up with a handle, and it's make a handle, or maybe use a handle off of a piece of equipment I already have. So I looked at one of these, since I have multiple units now, but the size, you know, it was a different shape. Here we go. It was a different shape, and the size was a lot larger, and it would look better if the handle was a closer shape and look to it. So I found this handle. It was on a coping saw I had restored about a year ago that I had painted. I took it off, tried the piece of all thread in there, and lo and behold, it's 5/16. Sometimes things come together right. So this handle will screw on. I'll just put it on this side here. Screw on like this. Yeah. Hard to start when I've got a loose thread. But what I need to do is get a proportion look at it, so I'll insert this piece of all thread in here. Seems I've got a burr on the end of it. So I'll have to take care of that. But in the meantime, this is what this handle will look like. This is what the crank handle will look like beside it. And while it's a little different shape, it's closer to the shape, and it's closer to the size of the other one. Going to be a little different. So what I need to do now, get this piece of all thread in here and do what I did for the crank handle. I got out my new little mini lathe that I made. So I'll insert this in here. And that will allow me to do some sanding on this a little bit. Okay, I'm going to give you a short look of my homemade lathe in action. Sanding this handle. I already started it, but I'll run for a second. But here's a fact that some people don't know, and most of you probably do, but it's something I learned in one of my first jobs ever. Many years ago, back in the 60s, Black & Decker power tools. And I learned a good bit about power tools then. That's before they marketed the DeWalt line. It was just Black & Decker Industrial Division, Industrial Construction Division. But when you tighten a jaw on a chuck, you tighten all three jaws. This is an old style chuck, but it's a good heavy duty one. It's not as quick as those quick release ones, but I've kept the chuck key tethered to the cord, so I haven't lost it in all these 35 years I've owned it. But here's how it looks. Okay, that's too loud to do it for a long time, but that'll show you a quick removal. I'll be able to remove in a couple of minutes what would have taken 30 minutes or more of hand sanding, and awful tired and rough on my old damaged wrist here. So I'll go ahead and sand this down and stain it and see how good it'll look as a handle for the tool. And here's the reveal. Items all finished and put together. That little badge nameplate on it just turned out great. Used a bunch of flits on that, worked on it forever. Kept flitzing and flitzing, but it came out good. Painted it a gloss black color. And of course, the upper shaft or part here, it was black. In fact, the tool was solid black all the way through, and I went ahead and took it down to the bare metal and shined the metal. I think it looks good with the gloss black. Same thing with the handle here, as I showed you before. I took the metal down that was black, took it down to the bare metal and shined it. Stained and finished the handle, the turning handle. The chuck we shined, I showed you it was scarred, rough, but it shined up. It looks good. And then, of course, the bottom part of it with the gloss black. And, of course, here's the handle that was made. You can see how they look together on the tool. A little different shape, but the color came out close and it works fine. And again, how that works is when you take this handle and move it over to the other side, which is a different gear ratio. And of course, you have to flip this handle over to this side so it doesn't get in the way of the turning handle. There was no handle on the tool when I got it. I just saw the place where there should be one and took the handle off of an old coping saw, took the paint off and refinished it and stained it, and works well. One of the nicer projects I have done. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of work, but the finished result was well worth the effort. Thanks for watching my video.